Welcome to another episode of Design on Purpose. I'm here with my friends, Graeme Hill from Botswana. Welcome, Graeme.
Thank you very much, Rixie.
And we're here actually at the Maya Beach Club in Bangtao. What do you reckon of this place, G?
Retirement restaurant, huh? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing, right?
Phuket, one of the top 5 in the world. Wow, the views, the people, the place. Yeah, very, very nice energy.
Yeah, we've spent a little bit of time here over the last couple of years, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely on the top 10 most visited in the last 4 years.
Yeah. So, G, how do you want to intro yourself to people out there
They
to give
don't
them a
know
bit of
me.
context about who you are?
Um, I'm a businessman. I like money. And I play in the fields of restaurants, automotive. I've dabbled in mining and construction and um, leadership, like leaders, like people development. I love people development.
Yeah,
So, and I think at the end of the day, the businesses are about the talent acquisitions that you make and the people that join your team and that you do life with. So, restaurants has definitely been my longest gig, my most fun. At the end of the day, humans. I enjoy interacting with humans. That's why I'm sitting in Thailand. That's what I'm
yeah.
doing here is to meet more crazy humans in the
There's some
world.
crazy people out here, isn't there?
Jeez, like it. I think it's it's definitely an education tool for me, Thailand, to come here and just uh, change how I look at things and consider other people's opinions and religions and cultures and foods and
Yeah, it's a big melting pot, isn't it, Thailand? Everyone just is in this big container, and everyone just seems to kind of get along. You just see so many diverse groups of people
yeah,
around.
I think if you look at your home country or you're back where your home is, you you really mix with so much of the same kind of humans because we're all in the same nature environment. We're all in the same frame of mind. We all listen to the same politics. So everybody develops very similar opinions about stuff. And when you come to a place like Thailand, I mean, you could sit in a room and there could be 75 nationalities in the room. And your opinion, some people have never even heard of the problem. So I think that's what makes it very interesting is to converse with humans of all sizes and all fits, and it definitely gives me the opportunity to rethink some of my challenges that I have in life and business and give it other thoughts and other practices and adapt. Like Bruce Lee said, take what you need and leave the rest, man.
Yeah, because I mean,
Practice.
you have a bit of a unique perspective on things yourself, right? Like having businesses in Botswana, like Africa, like you mentioned, like we've been working together a little bit over the last year, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I've learnt a lot about the different contexts of business in Africa. Like, what is that? What is that like? The difference there.
Jeez, like Africa's my heart, man. It's the humans are probably the most special in the world, I reckon.
The most what?
Special in the world.
Yeah, very warm.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of love in Africa. I think most people look at Africa from all perspectives and social media and television, and it's always lions chasing us in the streets and us wearing nothing other than a a cloth from a buck or a deer, as some people call it, and eating around fires. Carcasses of animals. Yeah, no, it's nothing like that. We're definitely a civil society, and I think we just have less exposure to all Western and Eastern and all over the world, all the challenges people are dealing with. So, um, from a homely perspective, it's probably one of the homeliest places in the world. And
Yeah.
being away from where we grow up for 2-3 months and working on Muay Thais and certainly makes you miss home a lot more, and more so the people, because people make home.
Yeah.
not just the
No,
environments.
I've noticed that too. Like, I mean, I was born in Johannesburg, as you know, and I was raised by a black woman, African woman. And I just know how that feels. I'd be carried around on her back a lot of the time. So I was very close to this feeling, this African. I know that that's very
It's very
nostalgic to
hard to
me. It's
explain to
very hard to
people.
explain. And so I kind of not forgotten about it, but like since working with your team, I've just it's really nostalgic. It's really kind of sparked something in me, like a lot of memories, a lot
Yeah,
of
just
feeling.
sayings and how they do things, and when it comes to food, and it's sharing is an incredible thing in Africa. Which I've observed much similar traits amongst the Thai people, is sharing is such an important part of eating.
Yeah,
You can't sit like a fat cat with your big tomahawk 12-ounce steak and eat it by yourself. No, if there's people around, you got to share it. You got to share in the experience, and it's more so the the caring for people and sharing your food than it is actually stopping your hunger. So, and it's it's just a feeling that Africa creates, that no matter where you are, you're always safe. Even though there's so many things that can eat you and kill you and
yeah.
attack you, and but it's a flow of love, which is very important, amongst people. And
Well,
yeah, Africa has been. I remember for the longest time of my life looking at Western civilizations and first world countries, and thinking, I'd love to live in America, or I'd love to live in England, or I would love to live in France or Italy, and be amongst some of the most developed countries in the world and experience what those people experience. When you take a holiday to Italy and you look at the foods and the smells and the hustle and the bustle cities and the scooters and motorbikes, you think, wow, I want to live in a place like this. And for me, my turning point was how the world went into COVID, and how everybody treated each situation uniquely. And I learned by myself that I could never leave Africa. Like, I
yeah,
would die in Africa, because it's just it's unexplainable how we treated each other uh, in 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 Africa versus how the world treated each other. And for that, it says that I have one of the safest places to live in the world, and I bestow all the honor there, because I don't think sometimes people consider that where they live and what impact uh, that living has on their minds, and how they become people, and how they look at other people, and how they uh, deal with business, and how they deal with friends and family. They don't consider that that has a very big impact on your
mm,
mindset. And I realized Africa is good for my soul, for my existence. I mean, it is a part of me, and it will always be a part of me. So,
yeah.
business in Africa, phew, that's like training Muay Thai. I think it's when you go to Bangtao. Let me tell you one thing, is that there is no class that it can extract such excruciating pain and just sweat and workout out of you like a Muay Thai
Muay
class.
Thai, yeah.
And I think working in Africa is similar. It has its challenges. We sp- we spoke earlier. I mean, I mentioned exposure, and
I'm just gonna pull this a little bit closer. Yeah,
exposure is so important. And I think because we have such a lack of exposure from a world perspective, we all watch social media and we expect Africa to develop as fast as that. We don't have some of the infrastructures for the development that we want to go through.
yeah,
Is that good?
yeah. No, it's good. I just you're turning to me mostly, which
Uh,
is which is fine. But I just want to make sure I get
okay.
all this. Yeah, yeah.
So we don't get the exposure, so we don't develop as fast as other countries. And you know, you have a conversation. I mean, you remember when we started, we spoke about a few things, which which we had to I had to explain to you first where we are in terms of development in Africa and how they look at it and how they value it and how they understand it before. And there were certain things that we had to go through a 6-month process of teaching everybody why is this necessary before we could start to run it and they could understand what values it brings to the business operation. So certainly a lot more challenging running businesses there.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe I'll give a little bit more context on that. So Graham and I have been working together for like, I don't know, 9 months or so.
yeah,
And when I first got involved with the business, everything was running on paper. Everything was running, excuse me. Everything was running on paper, pretty much, right? Doing all your stock takes manually on paper. There wasn't really a project management system going on. We weren't using email or cloud.
everything
Um,
was running in my mind.
yeah, everything was in Graham's head, and so the work that we've been doing is had been a process of kind of taking everything out of there and building systems around it. And there's been a challenge because we're talking about taking a business that's, an African business that's been primarily run manually with paper, hasn't been using any softwares or tools other than your pilot software and things like that, QuickBooks, basic accounting. But like we've been really kind of trying to grow and develop as a team to implement things like a sprint plan and using tools like Asana. And obviously there's teething problems that come with that because it's a big change. But
Yeah, we take for granted that I can say to you, hey, do me a favor, grab the app on the App Store, download it, and fill in the information and operate. You'll see there's a system on there that can do invoicing, etc. And you download it and you go for it. You're live because your aptitude for looking at the stuff and understanding it is easy. But when you go into a workplace in Africa, some people don't have smartphones. So there's a big disconnect in terms of bringing your company into a modern technology world when you're situated in a place where just the tools are not available for everybody. So there's integrations of certain systems which make a tremendous change in the teams. And there's certain things which we just cannot get into yet because there's still a lot of other things that need to take place and happen before those systems and changes can take place in the business.
so what? But didn't you mention something like Botswana being like one of the fastest growing with phone at a like
Absolutely.
taking getting phone technology? I don't even know what to say there. Like adaptation, or there's more devices per user, the
There's a lot
growth
more
or whatever.
devices. There's a lot more devices per user than in most of the world. I believe in last in I can't quote 100% the specifics, but I read a study on one of the mobile operator networks where they said that Botswana had 3.5 phones per user, or per person in the country. And I mean that obviously means there's a lot of active devices in the country. um, and it's frightening because it tells you that the whole country, or 3.5 times the country has got phones on, so, and on social networks. So um, is it good for development? Yes. Is it bad for development? Yes. I mean, it can't be. There needs to be a change of something where people are learning technology not from a phone. They're actually learning it in school systems. And we're adapting technology into the culture, not just into the teenagers, because there's a huge disconnect between old people and the youth in the country, and the country is predominantly youth. Because you'll find that the older generation is not on any devices, and the youth is a lot of devices.
Yeah.
Um,
So what's been like the biggest change in Africa like over the last few years? Because the world's changed a lot.
yeah,
So
I
what are
mean,
you seeing in Africa?
Africa, I would specifically talk about the Southern African region where I operate business in, and Botswana. I mean, Botswana, uh, we've seen great changes. We've seen internet. Ooh, we we didn't have great internet. Internet has grown 1,000 times, gotten better, and connected us more to the rest of the world. Um, travel, certainly being able to get from Botswana to Thailand or France, we've seen a huge development in travel and getting out of the country and people seeing other countries. I remember opening a business in 2004, and we had the staff had to go and train in Johannesburg, South Africa. Bless their souls. And we had to go through a 6-week process of getting everybody passports because they had never left Botswana. And
They need passports to go over the border?
yeah, it's a sovereign country.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's not like America, Mexico, Canada. Show
Yeah.
your card and go. I mean, it's a passport stamp, and we get days. If you have a Botswana passport, you get, I believe, days to go to South Africa, a certain amount of days, like 90 days. And so we got everybody passports, and I remember taking 2 of my drivers, getting vehicles for them and saying to them, right, we're going to go down to Johannesburg and convoy, drive down. We went to Joburg on the Sunday. The Monday morning, we were supposed to be at training at like 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning. And we left the hotel at like 7:30, peak Johannesburg traffic. And one of my drivers had an accident, and he had a bumper to bumper in one of the busiest roads in Johannesburg, but not a bumper to bumper. I think we made it onto like 6 or 7 radio stations for the morning for the traffic blunder in that particular area in Johannesburg. So we brought the Johannesburg traffic to a stillstand. And it was a case where, yeah, I just didn't have enough experience to drive in such a passive aggressive traffic system like Johannesburg. And he thought he was following me, and it wasn't me. And the gentleman stopped in front of him rather rapidly, and I saw this whole accident unfold in front of me. And the first guy to jump out was the guy that was in front of him, which had a bloody nose and white powder, like he just came out of a cocaine party. But
Or was the airbag,
it was the
right?
airbag that popped, and he was fuming angry, as Africans get, you know.
Yeah.
And I was just watching this and just thinking, "Jays, like this poor sod has never been in a city, and he's just smashed up 9 cars in an
God.
intersection." We we go from the accident scene. Now I have a transport issue. The car's been destroyed. We go to a rental company to get another car so that at least, and I'm sort of with my driver, and he's still shaken up from his horrible experience. And I'm saying to him, okay, just be relaxed and just drive this one carefully. And we're standing and having an argument in front of the lady that's supposed to rent us the car, where he's saying, no, I just smashed 9 cars. I'm not going to drive another car. And this lady's eyes, so gigantic. Like, what conversation? I'm supposed to rent you guys. And I'm saying to him, hey, shh. Like, I'm speaking to
When
him
the Botswanans go
in
to
the
South
local
Africa.
language to tell him, hey, bud, keep quiet, man. I need to rent a car. This woman is already looking. It was hilarious, though. We got another car, and I thought, okay, let's not go through all the small streets. Let's take the highway, which is maybe safer for this young man to drive than all the shortcut roads. We got into this highway, and I mean, if anybody knows Johannesburg, South Africa, the highways are like 5, 6, 7 lane highways. So peak hour traffic, people drive 120, 100 kilometers an hour. I mean, traffic is moving. And this driver decides, I had such an horrible experience, I'm going to drive 30 or 40.
Was that slow?
Yes, that's slow. So now instead of us being a danger to an accident, he's now a danger to a beating from another motorist because they are fuming angry with his number plate in front of them, driving like a granny. So yeah, that's what happens when Africa starts developing, which is a beautiful process. I mean, I certainly enjoyed it. I had the best time of my life with those
Yeah.
guys. I remember going up. We went to a shopping mall for dinner, and we walked to the escalators, and I got on the escalator, and I was looking forward, and I was talking, like
Like they were behind
explaining
you.
like my team was behind me. And then when I got to the top and I looked around, I saw there was no one. They were all standing at the bottom of the escalator. They had never gone on the escalator.
I was scared to go
And
on.
I just assumed we all know how to use those things. Let's go on. So I had to go down again and explain to them what this thing is. And we went up the escalator. But it's stuff like that that just makes you love Africa and just appreciate. It's just we're all normal people, and it's beautiful people to deal with, and so hungry to learn, so hungry to experience.
Yeah, I remember that when we start doing our sprint planning, they're like, "Oh, this is very motivational, very inspiring."
Yeah, like truly. But I think that's been from us working together with system designs and putting structures in place. I think that's been the most satisfying, is watching each of my individual team members grasp the concept, understand what's the importance of it, start developing themselves mentally to be able to deal with such a process, and just getting on with the work
Yeah.
and making things happen and not making things happen.
Yeah, well, it becomes very transparent, doesn't it? So like what's the biggest change been there, G? Like what have you noticed with that? With implementing systems into the business?
Human beings are difficult people. We like to sometimes hide in settings. We hide in business operations. We make ourselves look busy, and traceability or responsibility is always very hard to. It's very hard for owners to cross check and see. And I think putting systems in place, again, bless their souls, sh- shows you who the people are that's not completing tasks and not getting work done. I mean, they might be great at running the business or interacting with customers, but there's also an element of responsibility and administrations and stuff that needs to take place. And it quickly highlights either people who have challenges with that, or people who don't do that, or people who just ignore working and ghost their way through a day or a week of the month. So your productivity levels are extremely low, and you can't trace it or find why until you implement such systems. And then it shows you. And then you can work on the development of those people. So that's definitely been my most interesting
Mm. Do you
development.
find that like do you think that they're becoming more of a team through the process? Do you think it's helping a little bit with that, or I know there's been some challenges there because
I
it's a brand new system, but what difference has that made in that regard
I
around team?
I always know that before we can go forward, we have to regress. So regress in the sense that we have to, no humans like change. I mean, comfort is a nice thing. So you're always going to have a little bit of resistance. And once you break the resistance, um, yes, you see changes, because it's the change comes from the individual accepting that this is the new way forward and adapting himself to fit into that new environment, and utilizing the tools that are now available to his use rather than the previous tools or no tools at all. So, and that's rewarding, because that's where you see a directional change in an organization, or a directional change in a team, or a directional change in the goal that they want to achieve. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I've definitely seen a lot. And you know some people will make an effort. You always have the resistance where 50% makes the effort and 50% doesn't. And then the 50% that doesn't sees what it does to the 50% that does. And they sort of 25% of them then starts aligning to the first 50%.
Yeah, it's
And you
that
have
whole
that
thing around.
last pushback until everybody realizes that this actually makes everybody's life easier and more rewarding, whether it be in financial gain and incentives, or earnings potentials, and or knowledge earning, or anything. And then that last 25% starts to, eh, let's call it 23%, and the final 2% is the ones that unfortunately gets a bullet in the neck and asked to leave.
Yeah. Okay.
And so It's just when I say bullets in the neck, I mean it figuratively. I mean we have a funny way how we talk in Africa and
I've noticed
explain
some of that
stuff.
too. Like sometimes you guys say stuff while you're like screaming or whatever, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like,
But
that
it's
I'm
it's
not used to it, you
socially
know.
acceptable.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it is in Africa for some reason. Like you're screaming 1 second, and the next minute you're like talking like normal.
It's
Like
it's very interesting. I mean, I experience my experience just in Phuket. I mean, just seeing other nationalities and how they operate. We obviously have there's a dominant country that's currently visiting Thailand, and we see a lot of them in all aspects of daily life. And we realize so many times going anywhere when they engage with you, they just assume that you are from their country, and they
I'm
speak
talking about
this.
the Ruskies here,
Yeah, the
right?
Ruskies, and they speak to you in Russian. And we've done it a couple of times now where I've been in the sauna or something, and they just engage in Russian, and I look at them, and instead of saying to them no, no Russian, and trying to
You just
make it
pretend.
no, I just reply in African language.
Okay.
I just melt their minds with a little bit of Zulu or something, and confuse them, so that they try and look for
Yeah, it was
English
funny
words
too when
English words to ask me, where are you from?
they asked you guys yesterday, like, where are you from? And your nephew Brian's like, Africa. And they're like, well, Africa? Like, but why are you white? They
Yeah,
couldn't
like
wrap their heads around it.
it's sort of like what you see on television is not always what exists. I mean, I explained that we're very fortunate to live in a society that's inclusive of many other nationalities, and you know, there's a huge expatriate. We call it expatriate population in Botswana, but I mean, I wasn't born in Botswana. I was
Yeah.
born in South Africa, and three-quarters of my family that lives in Botswana is citizens of the country, either through birth or naturalization. And I didn't go through all those processes. So for a very long time, it was just consider myself an expatriate, like, but you start looking at life spent, you start realizing you're not actually an expatriate because you spent 85% of your life or your existence in that country, but you were born in another place. So
Yeah.
what is home? Where's
Well,
home
yeah,
then?
that's a big question for me right now too, because I'm
Yeah.
kind of like
You were born
cruising
in
around.
Johannesburg and
Grew
you've
up in,
lived all over the world,
well, yeah, like lived in England for a bit, lived in Australia. Obviously, most of my life grew up there. Eastern beaches of Sydney. But now I'm like kind of nomadic. I'm living in Southeast Asia. I might go to Europe. I don't know, maybe Botswana. Let's see. It's a different way of being, but I do really need to reconnect to Africa. Like, I think that's something. There's a loop I need to close there or something. I need to
I
go
have
back.
I would consider myself well traveled in the world, and I've seen a lot, I've experienced a lot. Just something about Africa. I mean, give me the bare minimums, and I still can't explain to you what's so majestic and beautiful about it. Standing the other evening it started raining. We had a heavy sparring session with some mates of ours at some Muay Thai and MMA sparring, and afterwards we grabbed a shake across the road, and it started raining, and myself and the small boy was standing outside in the street, and we were getting drenched, and they were like, "What's going on? Why don't you come inside?" I said, we enjoy rain. We love rain. And they said, like, what's wrong with you? I mean, them being from England and Ireland and Scotland and, some of the most.
Yeah, they're like, why aren't you in here complaining about the weather?
Yeah.
That's what
So
they
we were
do.
just like, something about smelling wet sand in Africa and getting that breeze of
Yeah, yeah.
rains and the colors and the sounds. And it's just, so when we stand like that outside the rain, Thailand, it resonates with us back in Africa because water is such a scarcity and it's so dry. So yeah, it's definitely. I think it's the bare minimums that make it so special there.
So, what about the restaurant game in Botswana, G? Because like, I mean, you got a few things going on. You've got Hero motorcycles. You got Cappuccinos, which is like a Italian restaurants. It's a chain, right?
Yeah.
It's from South Africa. You're running it in Botswana, and then you've got
Barcelos,
Barcelos, which is
flame grilled chicken.
Portuguese chicken, my favorite. So
Restaurants, Botswana. Sure. It's an interesting question. I think we certainly have gone into various directions post COVID or post the challenges that the whole World Health Organization had with the whole world and the illnesses. We've gone in various directions, and I think it's the easiest way to explain it is Botswana doesn't have so many micro industries. You know, if you travel in Thailand and you look at restaurants and places to eat and little cafes, and there's a intense amount of micro businesses, micro development around. So you'd sort of have a big restaurant and three little restaurants around it and five little street food vendors around it. There's so much uh, capillary development around the infrastructures this side. And you look at Botswana, we've gone through quite a lot of development of restaurants, quite a lot of opening of restaurants. A lot of the guys are still very safe and they're still cooking the same foods, just in different atmospheres, different restaurant atmospheres, different furniture and decor, but the foods are still very similar. There is a few guys who come and push different taste profiles and, you know, a little bit expansion in westernized dishes and smaller portions and more fine dining kind of settings. And I wouldn't call them as successful as other operators, because it's still a very undeveloped market. Undeveloped in the sense that not everybody likes that fine dining. I think Africa is a lot more centered around
family, right?
sharing and family and
Yeah.
large meals with variations, and taking the variations and sharing the variations with everybody. So Africans love having multiple cuts of meat on a big platter, and you eat with your hands and you eat from, so sharing combos and those kind of restaurants are always popular in Africa and Botswana. um So there's been some interesting development. I mean, coffee has seen mega development. Um, Botswana has really embraced, even though it's excruciatingly hot in Botswana most of the time. Um, Hot coffee is a big trend
I
there.
love drinking hot coffee on a hot day. I don't know
I
why.
mean,
I'm
I
a bit.
can't be without it. I'd murder people if I didn't have double espressos. Not
Uh,
physically, but I mean, close to. That's why I
yeah, I
have
mean the
to.
Balinese look at me like they're like when I order my coffee, I say kopi salam semi segula. It's like Balinese for black coffee, no sugar. And they always ask you, hot, is it hot? And they get a bit shocked when you actually want a hot coffee
We
on a
have
hot day.
we do like a thing in Decembers. I mean, I work most Decembers when everybody's on holidays. It's our peak season, so not only peak, but it's the peak of all of our patience and everything, because humanity is just at another level and in peak seasons.
Especially for a chef.
I mean, it becomes a nightmare, but it's an enjoyable nightmare. And we have a thing like Christmas Day or New Year's Day or any of our busy crazy shifts. I'll come in the morning and I'll take a walk through the store, the kitchen, and observe stock levels, cold room, freezer room, and everybody knows. Please don't engage with G until he engages with you, because if he's not engaging, he's not ready to engage. Let him have his coffee, let him have a smoke, let him just collect himself. And then once he's have a coffee, he will engage with some of you. When he engages, then others who want to engage with him can come and engage. They know this. This is a rule. Sometimes I'll come in and I'll tell one of the baristas, I'll say, do me a favor, make 15 single espressos so that
For
I can.
you.
No. I have like one or two, but so that everybody can have
Oh,
it.
okay. Let's get
Yeah.
everyone on the
Otherwise,
same
they're going to
level.
annoy me. So It's coffee has been a big thing. I think pizza has been part of my life for a long time as well. I love pizza. I mean, that's why I'm so fluffy. So I'm always fighting to keep the fluff off. And
Pizza. I
uh,
love pizza too.
yeah, again, pizza is just a sharing thing, man. Pizza has no rules. You should think of life like pizza. Just take what you need, eat it how you want it,
It's like eating the
enjoy it
elephant,
thoroughly,
like one slice
leave,
at a time.
share with friends, one slice at a time, one bite at a time.
Yeah.
You can't put a whole pizza in your mouth. So this whole problem that you're dealing with, or a challenge that you're dealing with in life, why are you trying to solve it all at once? Just one bite at a time. Like,
Yeah.
how do you I mean, we always say as a Muay Thai technician, when you're climbing into a ring, how do you fight your opponent? Hey, one piece at a time, and you dismantle him where and how you can, and you use your brain and you think about it carefully. Don't just go in there rushing, and that's how you sleep, because you're
Yeah.
not thinking of it.
Fight IQ.
Yeah.
Tactics.
So same restaurants. I mean,
Yeah.
we'd love to. We've all seen social media. We've seen incredible restaurant operations, and we've seen some of the most beautiful venues with some of the most incredible customer followings and just absolute success. And you look at your business and you think to yourself, you want to achieve all of that overnight.
Yeah. Can we talk a bit to that too, G? Because that probably applies like to anything, right? Not just restaurants. I'm also laughing because I'm holding my microphone like a kettlebell rest. Like I'm doing the hip on
You
the
spend too
elbow.
much time with Pete when you're
Yeah.
sitting like this.
Yeah, that's how I'm holding my mic. I'm using the kettlebell rest.
And we mean respect, Pete.
Yeah. So just on that, like, being a leader of a large restaurant, you guys are quite busy in there, cappuccinos or organizations. Running large scale businesses with big teams, that's got to be quite stressful. So how do you deal with that?
I think, I can't always say everything is right and something is wrong. And, the way I deal with it is follow my ways or follow my leads. But I think you gotta find stuff that you enjoy other than work. It's so hard to be consumed by these operations, as a human being, because it is a continuous social environment. So from the moment you open the doors till the moment you close the doors, you are socializing with human beings, and you're trying to create an environment where people can come and enjoy dinner or lunch or breakfast or a meeting or a hookup or a date or a transaction, a business. It is. I mean, everything gets done in a restaurant. I mean, so much stuff gets done in
Podcasts.
podcasts. I mean, beautiful restaurant.
They're very nice to let us do
Um,
this here.
it's very hard to sometimes disconnect from that, and you find yourself that you're over socialized in a restaurant, where you then just go home and you hide from humanity, and you don't want to go out because you always socializing.
Yeah, you got to go and recharge your battery.
And when you speak to your friends, they're like, "Hey, Rix, hey, why don't we hook up this Friday night? Let's go to Cappuccino's for dinner." And you're like, "Geez, like people, I want to get away from it." And it what makes it even worse, with respect, and I am so humbled by it, is like, we run a very good restaurant. So a lot of people want to eat there. So I can't exactly say to them, let's go there, let's go there. And they're like, nah, we prefer cappuccinos because of the quality, the food, the service, the everything. So it really becomes very difficult to disconnect from that environment. So you got to find ways of getting out of that environment, and doing something that you enjoy, and doing something that you can deal with, not being in the restaurant, and come back and add value. Otherwise, you just live that life.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of jobs that chew through hours like restaurants. I mean, we can easily work 16, 17 hours a day.
Oh man, I worked in hospitality, like, most young people would in Australia work hospitality. In fact, I think everyone should have to work hospitality.
It gives you a respect for
Yeah,
humanity.
it teaches you a lot. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you like basic skills, cleaning, plating. Hospitality is a skill in itself.
Yeah.
Like, how to have people around and be able to host people is a skill. How to talk to people,
How
how to
to
solve
how to
problems.
respect their opinions and not get involved and not argue with customers. And there's that saying that people say, "Customer's always right." Are you? No, no, never. The customer's never right. Absolutely not. I am so anti that statement. I think it's a case where you have to treat the customer as your guest, and when the customer oversteps your boundaries in polite manners, there's a lot that we accept, but you also have to set those boundaries because rules um, is very important for our establishments, and how we expect the consumer to behave himself in a restaurant. Yes, you're very important to us, Mr. Consumer, customer, friend, family member, but this is also my family I'm working with. So I can't just allow people to verbally abuse when you're having a bad day and treat them badly, because affecting one server or two servers with your you know abrupt manners or something might interrupt the whole bar section or the kitchen section. Because
Yeah.
for us it's a lot about energy and vibe and atmosphere in the restaurant. That's what drives the team. They feed off the electricity of the leader on the floor, the front of house manager, the guy who sets the atmosphere, got the music going, got the spirit going,
Yeah.
driving sales, driving speed of service, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's
I can relate to that a lot, like with design shops, like running big design forums, because the team gets together for 3 days or so before the event. And you can always tell how well when the participants roll in for the design shop, do a 3-day design shop, you can always tell how well the quality of the work product by how well the team was working together before the participants arrive.
so
Because
how they've been driven
yeah,
and
but it's just the energy that you're creating, because you're creating a field, a container,
hmm,
and you're bringing people into that container. So you're already kind of setting the vibration of the container before the participants get there.
100%.
So you
That's why I
feed off
say,
each other. It's a feedback thing
if
too.
if I look at customers and customers being right in service in a restaurant environment, I look at it and I say that the customer is not always right. Absolutely not always right. But as a team and as an establishment and as a brand and as one of my businesses, we will do whatever it takes to give him the experience that he so rightfully deserves, from the his hard-earned money, whoever he or she is, from their hard-earned money, the money that they spend in our establishments. We will try, by all means, to give them the highest quality product, the best service, etc. But there's certain things which we will not allow, because our businesses are built on love, trust, you know, um, service, humbleness, um, and that's what's made it successful. That's what's made it stand the test of time. I mean, people feel the service. People visibly see the love that we have for what we do. I always say to people, food is love made visible. You can't see love. You can feel it. Hey, we can make it visible. We can put it on a plate. We believe we can make love visible to an extent where when you and your significant other come and share that plate, both of you would love each other more.
Yeah. Well, that food for me is a big thing, like in relationship, like if you can cook with me or make me some food, like that's it. Like you got me. Like that's a
It's
big thing,
it
food.
yeah. So food. I mean, going back to saying, like, talking about businesses and saying restaurants has always been my passion. I mean, because I like seeing people happy. I like seeing people enjoy a good meal and smiling and saying wow, and experiencing that. I don't think there's any business that can satisfy your craving for recognition of artistic skills or recognition for ability better than food. I
Yeah.
mean, 35 minutes later, that customer is going to tell you what he thinks about you. He's going to tell
But
you
they,
whether or not he thinks what you said was the truth or not.
yeah,
Because if you created a dish, something that he can do, something that his mum probably does better than you, but he's created something and or you've created something and giving it an opportunity to say yay or nay, I like it or I don't like it, and I find it valuable and I find it right with the price and the experience and the atmosphere and the furniture and the whole
yeah,
moment of truth that we always discuss in restaurants. So it's very rewarding to see uh, customers give you immediate feedback and a repetition of that feedback as you're on the floor.
yeah, because you're iterating then too, right,
Yeah.
on the feedback.
That feeds into the atmosphere of the restaurant. I mean, if diners are happy and excited and enjoying the experiences, their volume levels go up, the electricity, the atmosphere,
And that feeds
everything
the staff
that
too.
feeds the staff. I mean, you're on an 18-hour shift because some mutt decided that he was going to drink last night and not come to work today. So you have to take the punishment of a double shift because our executive chef Queen just said, "No, I don't care what your problems are. You work a double shift." So you need energy. I mean, Red Bull just doesn't cut it anymore, and espressos don't. So you need to feed from the energy from the customer,
Yeah,
and and front of house needs to create that energy to feed the kitchen because that's the heart.
yeah,
The heart stops, the body dies.
yeah.
I
That's
always
it.
I always say to people, good food can fix any fucking shit service.
Yeah. No,
But
that's it.
good service will never fix bad food, eh? Wow. There's a restaurant here in Phuket. I took some little Brian and friends with, and we call it the place with good tunes and great vibes, but cuck food, eh?
We
Yes.
were. I wonder
So
what.
if you wanna go there and just have a great experience, hey, it's perfect. It ticks all the boxes, but the food is terrible. So do we frequent it? No.
What's that?
Do we frequent the restaurant? No, we
No, no,
don't
no.
because
Yeah,
it's the food is terrible.
yeah. I mean, there's places. I mean, for me, there's like places that I'll go to for certain things. You know, if I want the vibe or
But I've
just
also
want to.
sat in some roadside cafes where it's I wouldn't even call it a roadside cafe. I think people think Africa is bad. I mean, geez, I've sat next to a rubbish bin, a ATM, and a beer at a change, and I've eaten a pad thai that felt like Gordon Ramsay cooked it for me, or some extraordinary
Yeah, I mean,
chef.
there's
There's some
places in Bangkok. There's
gems.
places in Bangkok that are like little food carts on the side of the road that have like Michelin hats.
Yeah, yeah. We went to I can't remember what the lady's name is, but the old lady that cooks crab omelets, Michelin stars for, and
Really? Was it
it's
good?
mental. It's absolutely mental. You can't believe the following. I mean, these days social media make everybody world famous, but besides that, the fact that the food is so incredibly so good. I mean, it is exactly what it is. So you're not going there to experience anything other than the fact that this respectful old Thai
Yeah,
lady
yeah.
cooks like an absolute G. So I've found some interesting spots to eat at in my life at least, and some of them, I must say, a lot of them has been in East Asia.
Yeah.
It's like the
So, so gee, like, what do you going back to Africa then? Like, where do you see things going for Botswana in the next 10 years? Like, what's going to happen to the economy in Bots?
we, we we're in interesting times of the world. I mean, I look at where the whole world setting is. So I'm happy that we're so disconnected also from the world sometimes. Um, that that we're the last place something will get to. So if there's major changes in the world, I mean, at least it's another a year or 2 years away from changing Botswana. Um, the next 10 years certainly interesting times for Africa. I mean, interesting times for Africa and the adaptation of a lot of Western cultures and rules and trade agreements and I think we're still battling with that as Africa. I think Africa still gets exploited by a lot of countries because we
What's the main export there, Botswana?
Botswana has
Beef?
been diamond.
Oh,
Yeah,
diamonds.
diamonds has been the biggest thing in Botswana for a long time. Um, but the industries are also controlled. So that is our main revenue holder, and the governments, the previous government and the current government has been trying to diversify the economy, to get beef export going, and just to get us just to earn more money from other avenues rather than putting all of our eggs in one basket and letting diamonds drive that. There's been successes. There's
What about technology and startups and things like that? Is that happening in Botswana? Like software or AI?
we're still far behind that. There is quite a few. I mean, I
I
was
showed Becky ChatGPT the other day. She was blown away.
I was involved in a AI startup for a little bit, and for me it was the excitement of the adaptability and into various businesses, and I mean, I got in for a bit, and I shared as much of my acumen that I can in terms of running businesses and building clients and portfolios and exposure and getting investors into product and all of that. And I stepped out after about a year and a half, for reasons being that I'm just not. It's not my main core focus, but certainly a lot happening in that sphere in Botswana. We don't have Grab, we don't have Ubers or any of those kind of platforms. We don't do any of those things in Botswana because it's such a low population density. I mean, we're 2.6 million people, so there's a lot of that starting to happen. Little apps of ride sharing and food delivery, and that's exciting. It's a mind change for Botswana. I mean, we're still in the mindset that if I said to you I needed a price on glassware, get me a price on champagne flutes, my staff members would still climb in a car, drive to a building, go inside, ask the sales representative for a price on 12
Or WhatsApp.
glasses, get a printed quotation to bring it back and put it down on my table so that I can sign it off and approve it.
Yeah. Cuz
So,
cuz they're doing everything through WhatsApp.
yeah,
Like I was shocked by that.
but it's
Ordering on WhatsApp, putting all their purchase orders through WhatsApp.
it's just it's the tools that was available in that and it's just the adaptability has grown from there. So we look at stuff like that, and and how change inputs into Africa or into Botswana. Like I said to you, with delivery apps and all of that, I think we're on the brink of an exciting change to restaurants, and certainly opening loads of other um, streams of revenue to operations, because you have to have mass adaptability to make it worthwhile investing in those particular things.
Yeah.
There was a couple of the brands in Botswana who invested in app development, and at the time, I must admit, I thought, geez, these oaks are crazy. I mean, I don't even think we are ready to do something like that. Today, you ask me again, I would say they probably made the best investment that they could at the particular time, and they have picked all the fruits from it, because instead of having two revenue streams now, they have six different revenue streams for their business in six different avenues, and they've just
Yep.
persisted in innovating and driving that development. So yeah, I get excited when we talk about apps and strategies and
Yeah,
systems, and
we've been working on some things there. There's probably more. There's a lot more to be done this year. We've got some things that we're working on.
it's incredible how you I mean, cappuccinos 14 years. It's incredible how you can have two mindsets. You can either think that I am a G and I have done everything that I can after 14 years, or you can realize, like a intelligent human being, that there's so much more to do in your business on a daily basis that you can expand so much more, that 14 years is literally just the start of it all.
Yeah.
You haven't even scratched the
But
surface
isn't
of.
that so cool that you can keep reinventing and keep exploring? It's like a medium for you to just keep expressing your creativity and your learnings.
I think
Doesn't get
I,
old.
I always say to people, restaurants are like restaurants are like a extension of the owner's personality. If you go to a restaurant that's owner run, that's his personality.
What does cappuccino say, personality wise?
I think it's clear to everybody that discipline is definitely something I have a lot of. Um, we run a little bit of a military ranking system in our operation. So we have captains and lieutenants and sergeants and staff sergeants, and I've always tried to make as much fun from that. I mean, I grew up in a military house. My father was a military man, and the discipline was quite high. So, and I didn't understand it when I was younger, and now in my older day, if I had 5 more minutes to talk to him, I'd say to him, "Wow, I would have never done it the other way around."
Yeah.
I think he instilled some disciplines into all of us, me, my siblings, that we're able to take some of life's hardest challenges and
Yeah, you
circumnavigate
need
through
that
them with discipline.
you need that for the restaurant game, especially the last few years.
Yeah, I think consistency. I always say consistency breeds excellence.
Yeah.
And how do you have consistency? Is by being disciplined, even on the days that you don't want to do it, when it
Yeah.
sucks.
That's it. That's
It sucks
exactly
so
it.
badly when your alarm goes off at 5:30 to get up, to shower, to change, to go and open a restaurant, and to be friendly to people at 7 o'clock in the morning.
When you've probably been there late the night before. Yeah. No, I
And
get it. I know the
you've got a list, you've got a to-do list that's 500 pages long.
Yeah. Well, now we have a second brain going on too. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Oh, wow, my second brain. I
Yeah.
must say I haven't opened in about 2 or 3
No,
weeks,
no,
which
you've
is
been Muay Thaiing, but yeah, so that's something else that we've been working on. Like I got into this para method, Tiago Forte para method, and I started building this second brain in Notion, and been playing around with that. So it's you want the water? So the second brain is run on the para method, which is projects, areas, resources, and archive. And then there's the other part of that, which is collect, organize, distill, and express. So we've built this second brain template in this Notion, and then I've got you onboarded onto it. And so basically what we've been doing is taking all areas of Graeme's life and putting it in through this filter of these different kind of buckets. And like it's something that we're constantly maintaining, right? But it's like, how do you find that, like having everything in? Because for me, it's really, really, really helped me since I've started implementing this second brain. But how does that?
I think the most, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to define an entrepreneur and what makes him successful. And sometimes it's hard to understand how certain entrepreneurs run certain things. I mean, you look sometimes at people and think, how are you able to manage all of that? How are you able to deal with so many responsibilities
Complexity.
and complexity? So for a very long time in my life, everything has been inside of here, which has its pros and cons. I mean, it's sometimes bad for health to have an active mind or an overthinking mind, and sometimes it's a blessing because you solve challenges way faster than other people do, and you're generally a lot better under tremendous pressure than most humans are.
It's a little bird on the
Uh,
table.
Africa, it's feeling the vibe. That's why it's
Hey,
coming
what's
here.
up, buddy? Ooh.
Um, dude, it reminds me of that time the chicken where I told you I'm not going to touch that chicken, just now it bites me. Remember the chicken that you were scratching? It's
And it was really enjoying it, wasn't it? It
yeah,
was
it was
like,
like I was like, no, I don't trust this guy. Anyways, another story. Um, it's I lost my
No, we were talking about second brain. What makes
yeah.
entrepreneurs
So
successful, and
so it's a
how do
it's a
you manage all the complexity?
yeah. I mean, there's so much going on a daily basis of running multiple businesses. I mean, I take Euro Motorcycles, and my business partner there, which is Mac McAslin, a great friend of mine as well. I I mean, he has his own set of challenges that he deals with on a daily basis because he runs the business, and I'm unable to give him the support from a daily uh, business partner perspective, and I only get involved in strategies and complexities that we develop and discuss and think about together as a team. But I look at that and I think to myself sometimes with him as well, is how do you remember everything and how do you deal with everything? Because if there's no system, you're carrying a lot in your mind and on a daily basis to deal with.
Oh
So
yeah,
the adaptation to the strategy and the implementation of the second brain, I think, has relieved an incredible amount of anxiety that you deal with, thinking it's like, oh, I mustn't forget that, and I must still do that, and because you have a system that you are able to file into the areas that you need to be, and you can now take that system and you can make other of your team members responsible for solving these challenges with you, rather than you sitting trying to come up with a million ideas on growth or development or, or strategies or HR or any of those things. I mean, Africa is also one of those places that if you take a company out in Australia and I say to you, who deals with HR? You'll have a person for HR. I'll say to you, who deals with social media? And there's a person for social media. I say to you, who deals with training? No, there's a person for training. There's so many people in the organizations that deal with all aspects of running the organization. Africa's not like that. We have to be like a Swiss Army knife, where one person has 5 or 6 responsibilities because we just can't afford the resources.
yeah.
We can't afford to implement all those positions because, we're just not at the level that the rest of the world is at. Um, Examples: 12-ounce ribeye, $300 in New York, $12 in Botswana. I can bet you if I took that ribeye from Botswana to New York, they will pay me $1,000 for the quality. But yet we're not earning at the same level. So yeah, we have to be more adaptable to dealing with stuff. And I think the second brain methodology as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as a leader, has given me an opportunity to double up on what I'm dealing with.
Yeah, you can pull it out and just give
Mm.
your nervous
I can
system a
give it
break. You can close some tabs in your brain.
absolutely. I mean, it gives me the most anxiety when I'm standing at somebody's laptop and there's 55 tabs open because I'm
That's me.
thinking, I'm thinking, geez, dude, what's going on here? So at least it gives me the opportunity to close it off and say I'm resting today, and tomorrow I'm gonna work on my second brain again. When I open it, I know I've got deadlines and time limits, and everything is organized in a manner and a format where I can open, take off from that perspective. It's connected to my mirror board, so that I can go
Yeah.
back and
Oh,
look at.
yeah, we're using Miro too. That's cool, huh? Like, I love that we can sit there too. Like, you're in Africa and I'm in Bali or Thailand or Australia or whatever, and we can actually get in there and work together like we're in the same environment. I
uh,
love Miro for that. It's so
yeah, yeah.
epic, isn't it? Like to see everything so visual.
But it's such I look at Mirror some days and I think to myself that the developers really, I mean, they hit this one out of the ballpark, because when we were young, when I was young, at least when I was in high school or that, we used to cut pictures out of magazines and take that sticky Pritt glue and stick them into like a big diary. And Mirror is just my,
Hodgepodge.
yeah, it's my hodgepodge diary of all my pictures and
The
thoughts. And
scrapbook.
absolutely. And I think reaching back to your your upbringing or your and working with an application like Miro in a business setting to say that I'm going to stick this there I'm gonna come back to it. Like, I'm a bit busy at the moment. Let me
Yeah.
dump it in here, and then I come back and I organization and sort it, and I look at it and I develop small micro projects from each one of them, which I then take back to my Asana, and I evolve my team in to develop these projects and bring it to a fruition in the store, or to bring it fruition in the business, or to
Yeah.
put a process and a plan in place for it to actually happen.
Yeah, no, it's cool that like I love that. I find it quite fun working like that because we can get in there, we can kind of work something a bit like free flow, and then we can get okay, there's a project here, then we define the project, then we can pull that into the brain, and then we can create action tasks from that in Asana for the team around the project. It's
The,
a good flow.
the reality is it's given us an opportunity to take all of our ideas and make it a reality. I mean, it's a process of taking an idea and making it a reality. Because if you can sit and ponder some days, have a coffee and a smoke, and just think, I'd love to do this and this and this and this. Do you actually do it? No, you just say you love to. You'd love to do it, but you don't think about the process of actually doing it. Me, I do.
Yeah.
I build a process and I do it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think about it. I think I would love to go and smash some people in Thailand. I would love to go and fight. I would love to go and see, as a human, as a man, do I have it inside of me to hit another man or to smash, to fight for my life? Now
Are you
let's,
gonna fight?
dude, I fought.
No, but I mean, are you gonna do that?
Oh, no, no, no.
Done with that?
No, I don't think I'm done with it. I think this year, last year was pain. Last year I dealt with pain. I think it was some of the hardest fights. Like, I mean, Thais are hard, eh? Thai fighters are hard. It's one thing boxing and getting a shot to the head from any opponent. It's another thing taking leg kicks. I mean,
Oh,
most people don't even understand the
the
mental
power behind that
strength, yeah,
too.
the methodology and the technique behind it. And eating elbows in a corner of a Muay Thai ring, it's something.
Dude, I would like to do it. I don't know, maybe one year I'll come out here and just
I
train hard for a few months and then just
my advice
have
to
a go.
anybody is you have to have one fight.
Am I too old for it?
No, I think I have so much respect. I mean, in the gym, I see people that's 70,
What, fighting
60,
Muay Thai?
fighting Muay Thai, practicing Muay Thai. I think
So you reckon I could fight at 40?
I reckon.
Just get one in there?
It's important to define yourself. Let's take Muay Thai and let's dissect it. Why do I do it? It's pushing myself to limits. It's 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 taking away uncomfortable limits. Why am I sitting here? I'm doing a podcast. Dude, I told you. I am the most private person. I don't enjoy everybody knowing my life and understanding. I'd like to stay anonymous to humans, but if you don't do stuff and you don't test yourself, how do you ever know that you have and what it takes, or you have the strength to do it? And a Muay Thai fight is probably one of the best tests of your inner ability to circumnavigate extremely hard things in life,
Yeah, yeah.
because you just, I don't care what anybody says. If you don't have it inside of you, you're not going to be able to do it. I could offer you money to do it and you'd still not.
I would like to try it at one point, like just to know that I can do it, that I could be in a ring with someone's trying to kill me and
I've
and hold my own.
I've dealt with so many people in business environments where they lose their shit and they get angry and they threaten to hit you and uh, fight. And having been through all of those things, having r- having having rolled BJJ and having done wrestling and having done MMA and Muay Thai, I think you get to a stage where you realize that there's just a lot of people with a lot of big mouths, because
Oh yeah, usually
it's
the big
one
mouths
thing.
don't know how to
Yeah.
fight
It's one thing saying it out
unless it's
loud.
Conor McGregor.
Yeah. And no, but it's one thing to say it out loud like that, and it's another thing when you have the ability and you then control your anger and just walk away. I mean, I say to people all the time, it's taught me to.
Yeah, a lot of martial arts people are very calm.
And
Calm under pressure.
I take that into my daily business life. I mean, Muay Thai for me is a tool of development for top management. But
Yeah, we should bring some
it's
people out here to do some Muay Thai, some execs.
you find courage in yourself that you need. Like you realize, once that bell rings and they play that Muay Thai song that
Dude, that
goes
shit
into
is
your
like some
mind, and
hypnotizing shit, right?
you realize that the only thing between you and that guy now is you finding some courage to take some fucking hard hits
Or give some.
or give some. I mean, I think
I think
you.
that would be harder for me to actually like elbow someone in the
No, no.
face.
You see the feeling, like once that the anxiety, once it hits, the first thing is like I remember my first fight, the bell rang and I was like, Jesus, I just forgot all of my Muay Thai. Like I couldn't remember combinations. I stuck to like three. I 1, 2, kick, 1, 2, kick, and I just thought to myself, I've got to fight. It's like somebody threw me in the deep end, and I don't know how to swim, and I can only do doggy paddle, and I just got to fucking doggy paddle as hard as I can to stay alive. And I think round two, I mean, everybody's shouting, and the coach is shouting, and the music is loud, and this guy just I've done nothing to this guy, and he just wants to smash me. you 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 grab it inside of you where you realize, like I mean, you can't fight from a place of anger. That's the other thing with a combat
Oh
sport.
my gosh, like just watching Wei Ling.
Ah,
Wei
so
Ling,
much respect for her.
she's so sweet. She's in there, she's an absolute killer. And then she finishes the fight and she's so sweet. Like just the way
But
that she speaks and her attitude. We watch her training in Bangtao and just I love her whole attitude, discipline, but then she's got a good balance.
but I go back to exactly what I said is the reason that I'm here doing Muay Thai is to work on myself, not as a fighter, but as a fighter in life, and dealing with life scenarios. I can tell you that some of my hardest sparring partners that I've had um, has been some of the most incredible gentlemen that I've ever met in my life. Like people from such different walks and having gone through such traumatic experiences in their life, and being the absolute most humblest, most friendliest, incredible human beings, but at the same time being this absolute monster of a warrior, like a fighter of biblical proportion, but yet the most incredible person. So it's definitely, for me, it has taught me another way of looking at business, and just looking at driving yourself. The meeting some of these people, I realize I can do anything in the world. It's a mindset, and
Yeah.
it's a comfort level that only I can adjust. So this year fighting, no. I mean, I suffered a few injuries, and I've got right hip, struggling with right hip
Yeah,
kicks, and
my right hip's also a bit funky.
I'm there, I'm
Mobility. We need
training,
mobility.
I'm sparring, I'm doing mobility, I'm doing what I can. Maybe not now, maybe we'll fight later in the year again. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But never stop the pursuit of perfection, and uh, driving and building yourself. I'm fortunate now. I can take my nephews with me, and I can take them at their young ages, and teach them mixed martial arts, or take them and show them mixed martial arts and expose them to it. Not for smashing people, but for building strong minds to deal with whatever life throws at them, and whatever the decisions they make to future their careers, or to venture into business, or to do the things that they're passionate about. I
Yeah.
always say to my nephews, please don't take me 100% as a role model. I mean, take some of the elements, the good elements that you see, take them. The bad elements, I'm sorry, I have some clicks that I have, and I have a dirty mouth and a short temper, but discard those things and build your own version of a good person with the tools that I've given you to learn this and exercise this for the future.
Yeah.
And
We have
schooling is never going to prepare them for stuff like that.
no. I
It's
mean, schooling doesn't.
scenarios.
Schooling seems to be preparing people for less and less these days. But
It's atrocious. I mean,
yeah.
we're not even talking about African education. It's even worse.
Oh, I mean, I think we're going to be finding out more and more over the next couple
Mm.
of years what education was really about. But
So I've never been a father, not that I know of, bless. But it's it's it, I, I love to add value into people and develop, and especially the youth. Like, I look at them with a little bit of anxiety, understanding what this world is about and understanding what what the business environments are like, and without dampening their spirits for excitement to say, I want to be this and I want to be that. I also realize that, listen, you need some tools to be able to make decisions with.
yeah,
And MMA, Muay Thai, it's for me, it's definitely been a search for the warrior inside of you. And I think it's an incredible tool for driving yourself. I mean, you you do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you've done capoeira, and you know what it takes to be in those classes and be
oh,
disciplined
so
in
challenging.
developing your own uh, 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 Swiss Army knife of tricks like a little monkey. Um, but but the development that it does in your mind and
That's
your
been the biggest thing for
yeah.
me.
I mean, kettlebells, dude. I mean,
I love
it's
kettlebells.
changed your life, isn't it?
Yeah, kettlebells has changed my life.
Anwar, my word,
Yeah, and
what
wow.
a G. He's
Yeah,
changed my life. I mean,
yeah.
understanding mobility and understanding those human movement classes. I mean, I sometimes I'm in a class with Anwar, and I look around us and I see new guys into the class, new fighters from wherever in the world, Dagestan and each corner of the world. I see them entering, and they look at the class and they think that it's very feminine, or it's very, I don't know,
But it's hard.
unchallenging. And
It's
then at the
really
end of the
hard.
class, you say to them, "How was it?" They're like, "Geez, what?" It's like I've never understand. My hip is sore. They
I didn't
realize,
understand that my knee wasn't my
yeah.
ankle, wasn't my toes, wasn't like it, you know?
So that's been another discovery that I've made in myself, and I've been able to deal with certain challenges with stuff that I've learned here with incredible human beings. I mean, Anwar as a person, what he's been through, and extremely inspiring. So
I'm hoping to get him on the podcast this evening.
and being able to train with him and take some of that life
Yeah, I
experience. I
love
mean,
him. I love
there's
him.
no amount of money that you can touch to
No.
that. And there's nothing that you can do to make up for those people that you deal with and that you learn with and that you train with.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, I think that's a good note to wrap things up here, G. What do you reckon? You got
Yeah,
anything else there that you wanna share? Have we missed anything?
I I look at sitting here and experiencing the environment of this restaurant, and I'm seeing all the micro meetings taking place and sales teams chatting about strategies. And you know what? Yeah, pay respect to your restaurateurs, man. I don't think people people understand what the industry is about. I mean, I experience service in various parts of the world. I love going out to restaurants. I love entertaining. I love mixing with people. I definitely think go and visit Botswana if you can.
Oh, I need to
I
get out there.
I think service is on a level that us who live in Botswana don't even appreciate the level of service that we're at. I think we can easily compete at world level from a service perspective, a quality of food perspective. You guys go to some of the biggest supermarket groups in the world to go and buy your organic produce and organic meats and 100-day grain fed and bathed with olive oil cows. Listen, that's daily life in Africa, man. We don't have the corporations that kill our people, and um, we have good food and great service. I think sometimes I don't add enough value to my people and say that, I think we run pretty good operations there, and I think it's an exciting time to
Should
be
we give a shout
alive.
out to them?
Oh yeah, 100%. My team, hey, I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for them. Somewhere they all add to my personality, and
It's a great team.
yeah,
It
I
is a great
definitely
team.
think I've not made any of them. I mean, they have made themselves. I've given them the tools and I've given them the beatings to guide them into the to the right directions. But yeah, they've done phenomenal jobs at developing themselves as people. And at the end of the day, no matter what people say, it's about relationships that you form with customers, and the fact that they know customers by name and they understand customers and they know the kids and they know, that makes a good restaurant. That makes a
Yeah.
good environment where you're in a place that you can add value to people without them seeing it, but you just create an experience. And yeah, for me, it's the pursuit of perfection all the time. Am I ever going to be happy? My executive
That's the
chef,
question.
whenever we fight, she's like, "Are you ever gonna be happy?" I said, "I don't know. Depends on how you."
That's Queen, right?
Yeah. Like her and Becky, like nothing we do ever makes you happy. What's what
That's
they
so
say
funny.
when we
What's
argue.
Toomey say?
Hey, Tumi's counting the money.
Ah, that's
um,
funny. Uh,
it's yeah, it is. There's a lot of things that make me very happy, and there's small things that 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 make me happy to be alive, and that gives me the love and the honor to work with the people that I do,
yeah.
to live in my country, Botswana, to be able to travel the world, experience things, and take key structures and development back home, and help
Yeah.
develop my people,
Yeah.
help develop them, and drive them to larger growth, where we can all benefit out of. We're sitting particularly in Botswana with an interesting challenge where government wants to double the minimum wage. And I'm currently observing comments coming in from all kinds of industries in Botswana, giving their opinions as to why they shouldn't, why they should, and etc. etc. I look at it and I say to myself, we are in an ever-changing industry where, I mean, since 2020, I think things went up to 300%. And minimum wage, I mean, is an extension of happiness and gratitude in your business, where if your people are happy and they're living a good life and they're able to look after their family, they will input the effort into the business that they need to be able to maintain that. So I I commend it. I commend government's attempt to double minimum wage. We certainly know that we operate 50, if not 100% above the minimum wage level already in Botswana. So it's not a very difficult thing for us to reach. And I think it's going to change a lot of things. It's going to bring a lot more gratitude in the industry, because people are not going to feel like they're undervalued and
It's a big thing.
working. And yeah, it's a big thing for team motivation. It's there's a lot that goes on to run these businesses. I mean,
Yeah, I've
like
seen
you
it.
said, you've been inside there. So if we can give a nomadic digital online worker the amount of money that they earn, surely we can pay the guys in the kitchens and the guys
Oh,
with a talent
absolutely.
similarly. So it's an exciting time for the industry. It's definitely an exciting time for me, and um, I look forward to 2025. Definitely looking forward to all the systems and strategies
Yeah,
that we're going to keep
we got
on.
some work to do this year.
Yeah, the stuff that we're going to develop. I mean, it's unmeasurable, but
I think we can measure it.
no, I'm saying it's unmeasurable, the value that it brings to the business,
Yeah.
in the sense that you would never know truly if you don't observe it from an exterior perspective and you see the complete 100% rotation that it's made in the business and the people and the teams. I mean,
No,
that's where the business is. You're nothing without the team and the humans.
it's been good. It's been a very interesting learning experience for me as well.
Yeah.
As well, as you'd say.
As well.
As well.
As well. It's the accents. We roll our R's.
Yeah. Habarone.
Yeah, habarone.
All right, G. Well, it's a pleasure to chat to you. Thanks for coming on the
Yourself as
podcast.
well. Thank you, Rixie. And I wish you all the success with a channel. I would certainly advise anybody to follow it. There's some incredible strategy and chats happening with some.
You've been watching a few episodes, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I you can't measure the value that it has on the business. Just getting information from some amazing humans and just listening to their stories. And
I find some good ones, huh?
Yeah, you certainly have a way of finding spaces to chat into and the context that to speak to and the people. I mean, it's what gives you the experience. And I mean, I love watching old Joe Rogan show, and I can sit for hours and listen to the conversations, and it's interesting humans that he speaks to.
Yeah, I like his style too, because it's just a conversation. He's not. A lot of podcasters will have like an iPad with questions and things like that. Maybe I should do a bit more of that, but I like how he does it, because it's almost like what I feel about that. If you go in and you have all these preemptive questions, you've done research, and then you don't get to explore the learning as if
It's not. So you have to. I quite enjoy like coffee. I mean, I said we have to have a coffee. We have to sit and have a coffee.
We probably should have another one
record a session, just chatting from who we are and what we are, and sharing information and scripted stuff. Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of radio shows where we have to represent brands and companies, and you got a half an hour to chat about your company. And I've done a lot of that stuff. It's pre-scripted, and you sit and you recite what you have to chat about. You got this time frame to discuss everything about. And I think this approach that of just sitting and chatting about things and wandering off in conversation about this, and we listen to people's minds and how they unfold stuff. That's what I like about it. That's what I enjoy.
I'm into it. I mean, let's see where it goes.
I mean, you're certainly gonna. We had this conversation pre-podcast, but you're certainly gonna get some interesting characters to chat to, and I think, excuse me, I think there's a lot of consideration that needs to be made, that it's not biased towards any of the participants and the conversations that you're having, or it certainly doesn't reflect your opinion. My opinion is not your opinion. It's just an open conversation.
Yeah, I think it's nice to have those conversations with different angles and different perspectives. We use an axiom in the work that I do, and it's an axiom is an undisputable truth. And one of the axioms that we use in a design shop is to add somebody's experience to your experience to create a new experience is possibly valuable.
Yes.
So it's valuable to listen to the experience, but whether you take that on as part of to create a new reality for yourself or to integrate some of that is possibly valuable, and it's up to you to decide whether it's valuable or not.
Back to Bruce Lee, dude. Use what you...
Oh, there we go. Let's flip that back around.
Use what you need to use and adapt it into your style and flow like water. I mean, it's exposure to... I mean, that's ultimately what I'm doing with the youth at the moment, is bringing them with me to places like this and saying, get the exposure, set your mind right up, and respect people and religions and walks of life, and set yourself up
diversity, everything, like
just because I saw a lady that looks like a man, or a man that looks like a lady, or doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Who am
Hey, I've
I?
got Mister on my Thai driver's license.
Yeah, exactly. So who
I
who
love
says
it.
who says
I
who?
don't care.
How can I decide what's right and wrong? I
It's
can say
Thailand. It's a big mixing pot. Everyone's here.
I
Lady
can
boys,
certainly
tomboys,
have a
you know,
conversation with them, and
Europeans, Russians, Thais,
yeah,
fighters, business people, whatever. Like it's just a big mixing pot. So and
I I
everyone's just here getting along. It's
I,
great.
I take my nephew. I mean, he's young, and he has he's probably never left Botswana. I mean, he's not really. I mean, he's traveled around, but he's never really seen cities. He's never really seen
He's
skyscrapers,
never
and
seen Soy Cowboy.
never seen Soy Cowboy, Bangla Road, or any of these. And to put him on an aeroplane and fly him and land him in Bangkok uh, in the morning and take him out and showing him thousands and hundreds of thousands of scooters and bikes and humans from all kinds of the worlds and all kinds of languages and foods and I think his little mind melted.
Yeah.
And
He's loving it.
I love seeing how the neuro perception that people, there's so much happening and so much energy that's going around that I think the first day you're exhausted. You're like you don't know where
Yeah,
you just went
your
into.
sensory overload.
Yeah, you just went into a movie. So it's definitely been it's definitely a cool thing, and I love going through those experiences with them and getting them to understand and see and love and experience, you know.
Yeah, it's very
So
cool, G. Well, I've been enjoying my experience with you here as well. We've had
yeah,
a great
thank you
time.
for popping over. I mean, I know you were trying to arm wrestle me with a knife against my throat to come that side, but yeah, thank you for jumping on.
You'll come over there at some point, but I gotta come to Botswana. Maybe the next time we do a podcast, we'll do it from Caps in
Yeah, episode 2, Wild Africa.
Yeah.
We'll try and put an elephant in the background or something, and
Yeah, can hold the mic.
Show you how elephant. I don't think we have any of those circus elephants. It's going to be
we
slightly
go for
more
the wild ones.
Yeah, but we can get them close
Big
to us
ones, huh?
We can get them close to us in the background
Okay,
with
well,
a podcast.
let's work on that. Okay, next environment you got to set up.
Gentle Giants. Yeah. We went. We did a thing with cappuccinos one year where we set up a restaurant in the bush.
That's cool.
Let me tell you, that's quite an operation when you have no electricity, you have no running water.
It's just like running a restaurant in South Africa, isn't it?
Yes. Funny. Yeah, absolutely. But it's certainly one of the it was a hell of an experience. Making 2,000 cappuccinos in the bush in the morning is quite a crazy thing to do.
Well, I look forward to that. Let's get on. Let's get
about
that.
Experience that kind of vibe.
No, I'm into it. I'll come out there.
6-star service in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by some of the most exotic animals alive on the planet.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'll get maybe this year. Let's see, huh? But on that note, thanks for listening to another episode of Design on Purpose. I'll put all Graeme's links in the description below. And if you don't already, do subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and it does help us grow the channel.
Smash that subscribe button.
Thanks, G.
I watch some cool YouTubers, and the best to say is just click like, subscribe, notifications, smash it.
Oh, there we go. So pro. And thanks for listening, and we'll be dropping another fresh episode next week, and look forward to seeing you then. Ciao.
Cheers.